Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're taking a beloved classic, a story I'm sure most of us grew up with, and we are looking at it through a completely new lens. We're going to analyze the timeless fable of The Lion and the Mouse, specifically drawing from a really wonderful adaptation by Hindi fairy tales. Get ready because we are going to break down some seriously profound themes of power, mercy, and friendship that have been hiding in plain sight this whole time. So, let's jump right in. Think about this for a second. Could a tiny little mouse really save the life of the king of the jungle? Honestly, it sounds completely absurd, right? It goes against literally every rule of nature we know. We have the ultimate apex predator on one side and the absolute bottom of the food chain on the other. And that right there establishes the core tension of our entire story today. Keep that paradox in the back of your mind as we go, because the answer is going to challenge everything we assume about strength and capability. Moving into Section 1, the encounter. It all kicks off with a playful mistake, where a tiny mouse actually mistakes a sleeping, fully fed lion for a playground. Imagine the scene. The lion wakes up furious, roaring in anger, and instantly traps the little guy. The contrast here is just staggering. On one side, you've got the lion. Massive paws, razor-sharp teeth. He's capable of ending a life in a fraction of a second. And on the other, this incredibly small, totally vulnerable mouse, completely penned under a single paw. The mouse is literally staring into the jaws of death, terrified, with absolutely nowhere to go. The power dynamic is 100% completely one-sided. You can just picture the mouse trembling, right? He desperately begs, saying, "Oh, king, I'm so scared. Please don't eat me. Forgive me this time, and perhaps one day I can actually help you." I mean, talk about an outrageous promise. How could a creature this small ever possibly offer any kind of real assistance to the undisputed ruler of the forest? It's this incredibly bold, almost ridiculous gamble made by a tiny creature who is just trying to survive the next 10 seconds. Well, the lion's reaction is exactly what you'd expect. He actually starts laughing and lets him go. He's just deeply amused by this totally ridiculous proposition. Plus, remember our opening scene? The lion had just eaten. He was already stuffed. So fueled by a little amusement and a very full stomach, he lifts that giant paw. He warns the mouse never to mess with him again, sure, but he ultimately grants him mercy. The lion thinks absolutely nothing of it, just a funny little blip in his day. But as we're going to see, this casual act of mercy is the foundation for the whole entire narrative. Fast forward a few days, and we enter Section 2. The lion gets trapped, the hunters arrive. You know, things can change in the blink of an eye in the jungle. If we break down the timeline, it's actually pretty wild. At 1 p.m., hunters are quietly hiding behind the trees, having set up a trap. By 1:15, the unsuspecting lion casually strolls in on his usual patrol. Literally 1 minute later, at 1:16, the hunters pull the rope, and boom, by 1:17, the apex predator is completely immobilized, caught up in a thick, inescapable net. In under 20 minutes, the absolute ruler of the jungle is totally outsmarted. All that raw muscle and strength, completely useless against human ingenuity. The reality of the situation hits hard and fast. The hunters realize they've caught something way too massive to just carry back, so they actually head back to their village to fetch a large cart. And this leaves the mighty lion suspended in the net, roaring at the top of his lungs. He tries to bite, he tries to thrash around, but the trap just keeps tightening. It is a profoundly helpless situation. The king is screaming out, but those tremendous roars, the ones that usually strike fear into the hearts of everyone, are now just cries of total despair. Which brings us right to Section 3, a promise kept. The tiny hero returns. So those desperate, terrifying roars are echoing through the dense trees, and they reach the ears of the tiny mouse. He instantly recognizes the sound. Now, he doesn't think, "Oh, good, the bully finally got caught." Not at all. His first thought is, "The king is in trouble. I have to help him right now." This is absolutely brilliant because it illustrates the immense bravery and integrity of the mouse. Despite his size, he remembers his promise, and he remembers the mercy the lion showed him. Without even a second of hesitation, the mouse sprints toward the exact same danger that every other animal is running away from. Let's break down how this impossible rescue actually happens. Step 1, the mouse runs right up to the panicked lion and manages to calm him down, promising he's going to get him out. Step 2, he effortlessly scurries up that complex net, which is something the heavy lion literally could never do. Step 3, he uses his tiny, incredibly sharp teeth to gnaw right through the thick ropes. So, the really crucial takeaway here is that the very things that made the mouse seem weak earlier, his tiny size and those little teeth, are the exact tools required to dismantle the hunter's trap. His perceived weakness actually becomes his ultimate superpower. The ropes snap, the net falls away, the lion is completely free, and he looks down at this tiny little guy who just saved his life. All that previous arrogance, completely 100% gone. And he makes this stunning declaration: now you are the prince of this jungle. Talk about a massive paradigm shift. The lion finally acknowledges that true value isn't just about physical dominance. He realizes how foolish he was for laughing at the mouse before, and he elevates the tiny hero's status, inviting him to hang out and slide on his tail basically whenever he wants. And honestly, the timing is just perfect, because right as this beautiful bond is forming, the hunters come marching back with their big cart, totally expecting to bag their prize. Instead, they find a furious, fully freed lion standing right alongside his new little buddy. The lion and the mouse actually charge toward them together. The hunters are absolutely terrified by the sight of the roaring king and just run away in pure fear, never to return. The newly bonded friends have secured the jungle, together. And that brings us to our final section, Section 4, the core takeaways and lessons we can extract from this fable. So what does this all mean for us? Well, we can pull 3 foundational pillars from this story. First up, mercy is never wasted. The lion's split-second choice to be kind rather than cruel is literally the exact thing that saved his own life later on. Second, size doesn't determine value. We constantly judge people, ideas, or contributions by how big or loud they are, right? But the tiny mouse proved that sometimes the absolute smallest entity holds the exact key to solving the biggest problem. And third, true friendship is unconditional. The mouse didn't ask for a reward before cutting those ropes. He just acted out of genuine gratitude and loyalty. So I want to leave you with one final provocative question to think about. Who can you be a mouse for today? We live in a world that constantly tells us we have to be the biggest, the loudest, or the most powerful lion in the room to actually make an impact. But remember this story. Remember that no act of kindness, no matter how small it seems at the time, is ever wasted. Your unique skills, no matter how insignificant they might feel to you, could be exactly what someone else desperately needs to be freed from their own nets. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep learning.